Hi, today I'm back again at Cutt Mill. This is my favourite place in the Blackmore Vale. It's a very grey, overcast day, but I'm not going to worry about that because it's a very romantic, rustic light today. It's absolutely perfect for if you're painting in oil or watercolour. I'm going to try and create in a portrait style on blue tinted watercolour paper. It's a Bockingford, and if you buy it per sheet, it's about £3 for a sheet. It's wonderful for painting on, particularly when you want to create a dramatic or moody, sort of old-fashioned light. So I'm going to try and bring out all the rusty reeds down below, and then you've got the fresh tall reeds in the background and these beautiful willow trees and silver birch and the water. But I'm going to just try not to do it exact. I'm just going to take areas and see what happens. So it's very important that I get the perspective right here. And I should be creating a wet and wet technique and then my drag technique for the reeds and the trees. These are the 4 colours that I'm going to use in this one painting, and I'm going to incorporate a copper gouache. It's not watercolour, it's gouache, followed by Naples yellow, which is in the Holborn range. You see that? It's like a very pale yellow. And then a permanent blue, which is a Daleroni. So it's permanent blue. And then we've got permanent magenta, again, the Daleroni range. Okay, so these are the 4 colours. So I'm going to use probably 4 brushes, or 5 maybe, I don't know, but these are my favourite brushes. This one I used to put the big washes on, and it's hog's hair, and it's a very sort of thick, bushy hake. It's just a wonderful brush to have. You can see I've used it throughout the years, and it's a Terry Harrison brush. Okay, this one, I love it. It's my sable brush, and it just blends perfectly and gets rid of any little splodges or speckles, and it's wonderful. And this is pure sable. Then we've got the Chinese bamboo brush, which I love to do for the grasses and the reeds, and I think this is goat's hair. And I can use the end of it as well to etch out. And then we've got a wolf hair brush, which gives me a lovely point. So if I want to add maybe, I don't know, bulrush or something like that, or some little details, little bits on the end of the reeds, and also sort of maybe the circular patterns on the water, then I will use this. So basically, yeah, these are the 4 brushes I'm going to be using. So what I'm trying to do now is put some wet and wet washes that are going to cascade down the paper. we've got a little bit of a breeze, so I'm holding on to the paper. But we're going to create now, I put a warm, glowy custard yellow, well that's the Naples yellow on, then I put the magenta, and then what I'm going to do, there's a little bit of that, which is the copper. Let's just get that. I'm slightly going to, let's just keep doing that, so it just all cascades down. Sometimes you have to look beyond the colours as well. When you layer the colours, it's amazing how different it looks on the paper. And don't be scared to do that, because the sky is this sort of warm, bluey grey kind of colour. So I'm just going to let that sort of cascade down slightly. Just let that come down. I'm trying to sort of put in a few trees around it, just in the background, but they're going to be very ethereal, very faint trees. I just want to get these earthy greens and sort of, there's a few browns coming into it now as well, with the autumn colours just in the distance. And I'm going to have the reeds coming up here. I'm not going to worry about putting that great big tree in over that side, so I'm not focusing over the other side of the river at all. So it's very important to change your water regularly, particularly in watercolour. You've got to keep the colours fresh. Fill that up, and whoa, I hope you're not filming that bit. So I've just had to wait for the wind to die down. This is really tricky because the wind is changing all the time. So what I want to create now is those reeds which are in front of those trees right in the background. Not the ones here, the ones sort of the fresh green ones almost, but the sort of earthy green. So that's what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is mix some of that Naples yellow in with the blue. And maybe a little bit of that copper. Okay, so you've got this sort of unusual kind of green. So what I'm going to do, I'm doing my dragging technique now, and I'm flicking up. Okay, I'm sort of dragging up and against the wet washes behind. They're still wet, but I like that. I like to bring in this softness, and then eventually as it starts drying I might then define them a bit more. Who knows? All depends what the weather's going to do. That's the hardest thing when painting outside, but it's certainly challenging. Purple, lovely feathered reeds at the top. It's a little bit wet. Kind of define it. Well, I'm not going to worry. I don't think I want to. This is not going to be defined. So what I'm going to do next, I'm just going to leave that to dry a bit longer, I think. This is definitely challenging me today. I'm finding this hard. do, so I wanted to bring in some of these yellow wildflowers that are going sort of banana yellowy and then sort of browny, earthy colours. I'm going to just dot some of those. So I'm just going to dot now. I want to bring some of those into my foreground. I'm going to bring out these in my foreground, and I'll go back to the reeds again, maybe bring in a bit more texture there. But I'm very drawn to these wildflowers. And we've got, oh yes, and we've got these lovely, now it's drying here, and this is where I can drag up. Okay, so I'm bringing in, oh, this is what I love, yes. As it starts drying, I can really get some expressiveness with the grasses. I'm doing a mixture of copper, magenta, maybe some browns, yellows. The colours just work together, don't they? They work together in harmony. There's some earthy browns below it. Now, for my stems and my finer details, I'm just going to, I need some more yellow. I'm just going to bring in some stems now. And as you can see, I don't worry about colours contaminating one another, because I actually get ideas by the colours on my palette. Okay, so I'm just going to bring in some colours here. Sometimes you can use a Chinese bamboo brush, either really pointed or like separated. So you're using it like you're stippling with it. I just want to get some textures with it. It's a great brush to be expressive with, and it's something that I've newly discovered actually this year. I've never ever used Chinese brushes up till this year. But do you know what? It's so important to try different brushes, because you get so many different patterns and shapes just by the way you use your brush. I'm kind of filling in a little bit now. Filling in slightly. I think I might have to stand up again. The last time I did flowers like this, these sort of wildflowers, cow parsley. Now cow parsley is a lovely wildflower to do, but again you'd have to leave the white. Just going to slightly highlight. Right. This is more. I just love these flowers. They go like a lovely coffee colour after a while. The mustard, gold and yellow go like these caramel and chocolate tones and coffee tones. Okay, so what you get is this ethereal softness in the background. I probably wanted a bit more height of the trees, but it doesn't matter because actually the sky, I'm really happy with the delicateness of this romantic sky behind. I didn't want dark looming clouds. I've been painting a lot of dark looming clouds, and sometimes you've got to look beyond, you know, what's happening around you with the weather. Right, so I want to put in a few more of these. I think, yeah, this is what takes a little bit longer when you're doing, you know, stylized flowers outside. I'm trying to do it quickly. I'm just dabbing, sort of dabbing with my brush to create these gorgeous flowers that are drying. They'll dry and they'll go really dark black, I guess, eventually. This is a perfect time of year actually in autumn, nearly into autumn, where you see so many dried seed heads everywhere, and they're just beautiful sculptural shapes. Let's just get, I've got to get enough water, not too much water, and that's, with watercolour, that's so important, is, you know, really, that's what you have to think about, is how much water we're going to use. Okay, so I'm liking this brush with this sort of work at the moment. I haven't changed over yet, and actually I haven't used my sable brush yet, even though I said I was going to use it, but that doesn't matter. Sometimes you get comfortable with one brush. So, I'm going to go back to this Chinese bamboo brush again. I'm going to make a darker, slightly darker browny sort of grey colour. Let's bring a little bit of that. Sort of I mean, I've got so many colours now going on my palette. That's fine. So what I'm doing is moving my Chinese bamboo brush upwards. I start at the bottom and then work up, and then you get these lovely separations of colours, like strands of colours. And then I'm going to do the leaves again. When you're using the Chinese bamboo brush and you want separate grass or reeds, you must divide the bristles, you know, the hairs. That's really important. And drench them in the colour and kind of just work in a fluid way with a loose, sort of a loose wrist, but you'll control is where your thumb and your index finger is. You know, it's holding it there and keeping that strength there. You see what I'm doing? Keeping that strength there, but your wrist stays fluid the whole time. That's very important. What I'm going to do is go back to those reeds in the background. And very carefully just brush over slightly, just to bring them out. But not as defined as my foreground. A little bit of magenta, just very, very subtle now on the tops. These beautiful purple feathers at the top, absolutely stunning, and they're very unique to the River Stour in the Blackmore Vale of North Dorset. So I'm just subtly putting some in. Again, all the time, dragging up and then seeing what happens. I twirl my brush slightly. And it's all about, you must keep practicing with your brushes to get the patterns and the shapes, and the textures that you want. It's very important. So now I'm going to finish off, and I'm going to do some just very loose washes sort of behind, just to bring it slightly together. So I'm just cutting in, I call it, with some shadow colours, and then just soften that out. Can you see what I'm doing? So it leaves you still those first initial washes that I put on, and you can still see them coming through. And sometimes you can use your brush, don't always use it with the point, you can use it on the side as well. Can you see that? And it starts to bring it out this way. I want to just put a few in there. Just noticed. So I'm brushing some of the colours that I put on and just blending again. The perfect colour for shadow colours is purple. There's lots of different shades of purple, but it just brings out the detail. And then I'm going to soften that back in as well. To bring that out. So I just bring in a few more reeds, brushing up slightly here. And I scrub at the paper to get different textures. Also, what I want as well is I want these lovely little markings on the top of the reeds. So by using the Chinese brush, you can just print, like press the paint onto the top of the reeds. It's as simple as that. And then you get a little bit more interest on the reeds. This is called like a dry brush technique. So the paper in this area is dry, and so you just brush with a damp brush. The paint is damp, but you get this kind of fuzzy sort of image, but it brings the texture to it. There. So that's a dry brush technique. And I still need to bring in some darker colours. Again, probably purples, browns. It's interesting here because the reeds are going all different ways. There's no formality to them at all. So when you're painting, always try and not paint in the same way. Vary the way you use your brush. That's really important. Now the wind's picking up now, so you've always got to be aware of that. There's nothing you can do about the wind, but you've just got to like, all of a sudden like, okay, hold on to your paper, hold on to your work, and just let, hopefully the wind will die down at some point. Finishing off. Now occasionally I will use the end of my bamboo brush and I will just maybe etch out. I don't know if I will in this case. I might do just something there, but I don't think I'm going to do it in this case because it's got to be a bit darker, and I don't think I need that because I think I've left enough areas and sections of light. So I'm pleased with that for an outside one today. So we've had the wind, it's been threatening to rain, but it hasn't rained yet. We've got people that have turned up, we've got a boy that's fishing off the weir, which is lovely, isn't it, to see that on his Sunday afternoon. And I almost feel like the sun is going to break through the clouds. So this is a river Stour, but it's in the reed beds with the wildflowers in September. Bye for now.